Hello everybody, my name is Andrexilla. Welcome to another video. Today we are discussing my new hybrid Diablotitanoceratops. Diablotitanoceratops weighs 40 tons. Its genetic makeup is made up of armadillo, American bison, Humboldt squid, parrot, Titanosaurus, orangutan, Kentrosaurus, Megatherium, that volcanic snail that I've forgotten the name of, so I just labelled it Spicy Snail. Whale Shark. Northern Short-tailed Shrew. Arapaima. Triceratops porosus. Oranosaurus. Three-toed Sloth. Shantungosaurus. Skeletosaurus. Pachycephalosaurus. Giant Anteater and Therizinosaurus. Okay, I just remembered its name. It's the scaly foot gastropod. I put it in there for its shell because I'm thinking for the scales of, we'll just call it Diablotitano for now. Will now consist of iron sulfidus, made of aragonite, and and basically the interior layer of the keratin will have argite mixed in with it, meaning that it will have extremely strong armor plating. The bones will also have this mixed in with the calcium and the cartilage, which will make it really, really strong. It means that fracture injuries are basically going to be non-existent. And, I mean, it's a pretty damn good mix-up. I mean, like, Titanosaurus and the American bison make up its base genome. The reason why the American bison is there is because it has extremely thick fur, which would also act as a protective layer. Yeah, the Titanosaurus genome being its second base, so basically its base is cut in half between American bison and Titanosaurus. It means that it is extremely durable, and the reason why Titanosaurus is also in there is because titanosaurs and sauropods in general had amazing long-range eyesight, which is obviously going to be really useful for a herbivore, or to evade predators and be able to defend itself. Obviously, everyone knows why a short-tailed shrew is in this hybrid. It's for those iron teeth and, well, argite in there as well. I may not be spelling that right, but you know what? Who cares? I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments. And honestly, spelling things has never been my strongest suit. So moving on. Also, of course, the short-tailed shrew is venomous. I may have mentioned that already. We're professional here at Alan Humboldt squid DNA was also added in for its chromatophores and its bioluminescence. These were added around the eyelids and general eye socket region, meaning that when it's pissed off or hungry, its eyes will glow a bright fluorescent satanic red. Hence the reason why Diablo is in there. Because if you did not know, its Spanish name is Red Devil. Three-toed sloth DNA was added in there purely for its swimming ability and its claws. Kentrosaurus was added for its spikes. Therizinosaurus was added for longer claws because all these other genetic contributors are going to try to shrink them. So if you add extremely long claws and you have a bunch of other things that don't have claws, even hooves, such as Santungosaurus, which is added there to, well, kind of narrow down the size a bit, and also because hadrosaurs have a really good body plan for endurance. Ouranosaurus was added for its hump-like sail on its back to extend the bones of the hump of the bison so that there's more muscle attachments that connect to the frill, which is buried in the muscle, essentially. The bloody hell, it's hot. Whale shark was added for its coloration and its ability to filter feed. It will mean that if, let's say, Diablotitanoceratops goes to a water source and starts drinking out of an area with a lot of algae and stuff like that, it won't get sick, it'll actually feed off it. This is a herbivore that can feed off basically any plant matter. And I wanted that to be in there as well, so that if it did need to go to another landmass, because it had depleted the plant's life on one of the 5 deaths, it could just go to another one. Like Isla Sorna, Isla Muerta, Isla Pena, and Isla Tacaño. Somewhere like that. Arapaima DNA was added for its scales, which had been shifted to the underbelly of this beast. There are other Arapaima-like scales across its body, just because that's inevitable, these sorts of mutations are going to happen. But it means that, honestly, it has a lot more defense. Okay, I don't remember the name of this red parrot right now. All I remember about it is that it can mimic, like, all other parrots, so it can be any parrot, it's just that the red one looks cool, right? And that means that it can communicate with other herbivores. Scutosaurus, or as I accidentally call it, Skeletosaurus, is in there for its lighter armor. Like, it's almost perfect for this sort of animal, because it means that it doesn't get weighed down. It already weighs 40 tons with all these contributors. So why add like Ankylosaurus or Nodosaurus level like heavy duty armor that will just weigh it down when it already has a bunch of like extremely tough hide, because it has like literally essentially an alloy hide. Right, and even its muscles are reinforced. Like that's so unnecessary, it seems, but it's not, because this thing's meant to be a defensive unit. Pachycephalosaurus was added for an anchor for the Triceratops and bison mixed horns, and also to allow there to essentially be 4 horns on its head, because the keratinization would spread from the nose horn up and would form a crown. Because that's kind of how I imagine Pachycephalosaurus's dome looking. It would have been more like a pyramid-like structure because of the keratinization, which meant when it headbutted something, it would have caused a lot more damage than what people assume it would have done. Because it's no longer just blunt force trauma, it's like a pyramid being slammed into you. And not like a pyramid of Giza. Like, imagine somebody taking a pyramid, the weight of a Pachycephalosaurus's dome, including the keratin, and smacking it into your body at, let's say, 22 kilometers per hour. That would bloody hurt. It would probably actually kill you. Now that I think about it. No, it wouldn't probably. It would definitely kill you. Now imagine that, but with 3 horns, one of them forming into almost an axe-like shape, rushing at you, and that animal is galloping on its knuckles, which are basically covered in also a flesh mitten, because of the hadrosaur DNA, to an extent, but because of all the things with long fingers, that flesh mitten wouldn't fully conceal them, and it would essentially just act like a padding. Imagine something like that, galloping towards you, weighing 40 tons, and running 20... Wait, no, that's swimming. 34 miles per hour at you. Yeah, that's like being hit by a bloody train falling off a cliff. just like it directly falling onto you, you'd just immediately be obliterated. Armadillo DNA was also added in, but you can't really see it because it's like the same size seams on the ridges. So it can't move its body upwards very much, but it can bend down pretty far and essentially form a shield with its shoulders. It can move upwards. It's not fully like an armadillo thing because it's mixed with like ankylosaurid's arm plating as well. It's just that these scutes are the same size and stuff, so it's really small compared to the body shape. Okay, now that we're done with the genetic makeup, finally, now we can talk about its combatability. You get it. How good can it kill things? Okay, we're gonna talk about first another herbivore, Samson. Samson is an example of... It's indestructible against anything except itself. There's a reason why I added orangutan DNA as well. 1, for its dexterity, and 2, for its ability to think. Like, orangutans are smarter than elephants. We know this. It's an ape. So, well, that may not be correct, but with all these other things in there, it's bound to be smarter. You get my picture. It's gonna be either as smart or smarter than Samson. So, my thought of how this fight would go is that Samson would charge in to try to fight this thing over food. This is how I imagine this fight going, because Samson is a hypervore. He has to eat everything and anything to be able to survive. As this happens, Diablotitanoceratops realizes, it's eating the food as well, and Samson runs in. Diablotitano grabs its tusk in its hand, digging its claws into the tusk and pulling. The tusk snaps, and then Diablotitanoceratops curls its fingers inwards, forming a spear, and stabs Samson in the leg, causing him to collapse. Before Samson can get up, his own tusk goes through his eye socket and out the bottom of his palate. He's dead almost instantly. Diablotitano comes out on top. Easy victory. Indominus Rex... Do I have to explain this? Squoosh / bye-bye. Indominus 2.0 would be different because this is a pack fighting it. And this would be its first actual challenge. This is going to be the most difficult fight that it's ever had in its entire life. This creature can self-replicate that he's going to have to fight against. So, how do you deal with it? Well, same way that you deal with the Indom, but you just have to think about it smartly. Really, that beak is going to come in handy when he just starts ripping apart Indoms left, right, and center. He's going to take some scratches, but not bites. Eats. The Indominus Rex 2.0 won't be able to get its jaws around a certain part, and because of, it's a constant adrenaline rush state, that gene has been turned off in Diablotitanoceratops. So it means that it's thinking critically, and it's being intelligent. Will Indom be able to attack faster? Yeah, but as soon as a hit connects, it's over for that Indom. Just like that. It's on the ground, bleeding to death. Next, it just has to do that over and over and over again until they're all dead. Really simple. No other Indom 2.0 would ever touch it again, because it's really hard to get rid of self-preservation instincts. Tyrannosaurus imperatrix. Okay. This one's going to be a difficult one because they're actually quite similar in size. This may be the first one where Diablo gets injured in a way that leads to blood loss. Like, being scratched. By the way that I was describing scratches, I wasn't describing like, oh, there's blood pouring out everywhere. I was talking about there just being white scores across the skin. This one has horns and teeth, beak, basically the same thing as Diablo. It's just that the Diablo weighs slightly more and is slightly taller and slightly longer. But as soon as that tail comes in with those Thagomisers from the Kentro, this sucks because Ultima is actually my favourite hybrid that Goji Center's made, or remade more accurately. His rib cage gets shattered, a rib collapses in and punctures his lung as he falls down. He's bleeding out from the inside out, and possibly from the outside as well if the rib punctures out of his skin, and it ends with a single stomp to the skull. I'm clumping both Indoraptor and Indoraptor 2.0 together. All I have to do is say squoosh. Now, this one, because we're taking none of Hank's flaws into account. We're just gonna have to ignore physics for this one with Hank. This is gonna be the most difficult fight yet for Diablo. This is just brutal. Diablo will be really messed up. He'll have multiple broken ribs. He'll have some missing teeth. Maybe one of his horns will be snapped. He'll be slashed up pretty bad as well. He'll be bleeding profusely. But it will eventually get a grip and lock in. It'll realize, okay, I have to use tools. Because orangutans can do that. They can use tools. So, what does it do? Very simple. It takes Samson's tusk that's pulled out of the corpse of it to use as a weapon. So imagine in all these fights, if it decides that these are too difficult, it just stabs it from a distance with Samson's tusk. It has the Indominus 2.0's lower jaw as almost like a dagger. Yeah, or a saw. And it just starts pummeling Hank. Absolutely tearing his limbs off, breaking his neck, leaving him paralyzed and bleeding to death. And that's the end of the fight. And the end of Hank. There may be other Hanks, but this specific specimen is now dead. And that Diablotitanoceratops is also dead because of the poison. And just general blood loss and infection. So that's that. There are other Diablotitanoceratops. They're herd animals, like bison. Eventually thousands of them appear. They swim across the 5 deaths, doing the same thing. But they only stay in a small section. They only have a maximum group size of 30. So, what are they going to do? Well, as you can see on this diagram on screen right now, it's not going to be a very fair fight per se for Isla Nublar. I'm also including Mortodon and Tracker Claw, my other 3 hybrids. Let's put it this way. If it was to fight any of my other hybrids, Mortodon would kill it, and Tracker Claw would run away, even in a pack, because it's just that big. Now, let's hear its sounds.